What's good, Steeler Nation? My name is Jack Sperry, and this is Steelers Talk Today. We are going to be going over the latest Steelers trade rumors, but before we get into all the great action, we are currently at war, fellas, civil war in the state of Pennsylvania with Eagles Now by Chat Sports, the Eagles channel here at Chat Sports, and we're doing a sub battle this week. Right now, so far, they have more new subs this week. In fact, they've more than doubled us this week. We need to catch up right now. So if you have not subscribed to the channel yet and you want to show Philadelphia who the real the supreme team in the state of Pennsylvania is, the best fan base, not only in Pennsylvania, but in the National Football League, go subscribe to Steelers Talk right now so that we can kick their butts this week in new subscribers. Now let's get into the juicy trade news of the day, which surrounds, once again, Chase Claypool. We've been talking about Chase Claypool, it seems, every single day here on the channel, but yesterday, Darren Wolfson, who is a Vikings reporter, reported that the Vikings and Steelers have had active discussions surrounding Chase Claypool. In Minnesota, we've known for a while now that they've been looking for a wide receiver 3 to go along with Thielen and Justin Jefferson, and they're looking for someone on a cheap deal because they don't have a ton of cap space right now. Claypool fits both of those bills. He's a good run blocker. That's someone that, and guys in the Shanahan-McVay tree like Kevin O'Connell, they like their big receivers that can bully guys in the run game. And then it looks like the deal, if a deal is going to get done, it's going to have to involve multiple draft picks for the Steelers to let go of Claypool. Now, Claypool this season, like I've said before, I think he has value on this team. He's a great run blocker, like I said. He's got great size, great speed. I think he's a fantastic third wide receiver option for the Steelers, and I think he does have value here. But at the end of the day, it looks like that he is available, and the Steelers are considering trading him. Whether or not that's a good idea or not, that's up to you guys. But for me, it looks like that they are considering trading him because at the end of the day, the problem with the Steelers is not receiving talent. They have Diontae Johnson. They have George Pickens, who's fantastic. Pat Freiermuth is a very good receiving tight end. Najee Harris and Jaylen Warren can do things in the passing game as well. But, you know, Claypool is the third wide receiver, and if they can get a couple of good picks for him, a second and a third maybe, or a second and a fourth, those are two potential starters in the future that could really help the Steelers get back to winning here in the future. It's a couple defensive starters, maybe get a cornerback, maybe get a linebacker in the future. If someone would offer me a second and a fourth or a second and a third for Claypool, it would be tough for me to reject that. Now, let me know right now if you want to see the Steelers make a trade before the trade deadline. Like the video if you want to see a trade here. It doesn't have to be for Chase Claypool. I want to make that clear. If you just want to see the Steelers make a trade, whether it's you're selling, whether you're buying for somebody, let me know by liking this video right now and rack up those likes if you want the Steelers to make a trade. Now, something else that's been kind of swirling around, especially around Steelers chat rooms and all these other things, is that a lot of Steelers fans want Diontae Johnson to be traded instead of Chase Claypool, and there are some reasons for this. Number one, he has more trade value on the open market. Are you telling me that Green Bay, with the wide receivers they have right now, wouldn't cough up a first-round pick for Diontae Johnson? I think they probably would. I think they're desperate enough right now, and I think that Diontae does have more trade value than Chase Claypool right now, so if the Steelers really want to get the most out of a wide receiver trade, they could trade Johnson. Number two, the contract is going to get expensive here over the next couple seasons. Right now he's making around $8 million this year, or he's taking up $8 million of the Steelers' cap. Next year that gets to $16 million, so that's getting pretty expensive. So if the Steelers are really diving into rebuild mode here in the next couple of seasons and they want to open up some cap space, they could afford to trade Diontae Johnson, especially if they get a good pick for him, like a first-round pick. And then finally, he has had some attitude and effort issues this season. I've seen on tape multiple times, where he wants the ball, he doesn't get the ball, and he's throwing his hands up. His body language is terrible. And then there's other times where the effort's just not there. He's not coming back to the ball. He's not making the plays that he needs to make. And, it looks like that he's just not engaged with the team right now, or at certain times, I should say. There's other times where he's fantastic. He's obviously a great route runner, but there are times where his attitude and effort are a bit of a problem. But I think that they should keep Diontae Johnson personally. And I think that they will. Here are the reasons why. Number one, he is an elite route runner. There are maybe 10 players in the National Football League that can run as good of a route as Diontae Johnson against one-on-one man coverage. And that is it's incredibly valuable skill, not only for the Steelers, but any NFL team. Because offenses and the Steelers offense, they need a get-open guy on third down. They need somebody that they can trust is going to get open against man coverage time and time again. And right now, I like George Pickens. I think he's probably a more well-rounded receiver than Diontae Johnson right now. But Diontae Johnson is that get-open guy, where if on third down you need somebody to get open, you want to trust somebody to get open on third down against man coverage, Diontae Johnson is that guy. And at the end of the day, he's one of the best route runners in football, and this offense needs someone like that. And then finally, the team clearly loves him. I don't think there's been very little talk or reporting about the Steelers considering trading for him. Mike Tomlin has said time and time again how much he loves Diontae Johnson. So at the end of the day, although there are real reasons why they would consider trading him, one, I don't think they will, and number two, I don't think it's a good idea. I think it's good for George Pickens, because if you get rid of Diontae Johnson, there will be double teams on George Pickens, and that's not something that we want for that number one receiver. I know some people in the comments have been saying if we get rid of Claypool, then Pickens is going to get doubled, but that's actually not true, because if you have a route runner that's as good as Diontae Johnson on your team, people are not going to double team someone else and leave that guy on an island one-on-one. So at the end of the day, I think Diontae Johnson's a very important piece for George Pickens's development, and at the end of the day, I think they're going to keep him. But let me know in the comments section who you think, or pick one guy to trade. If you want the Steelers to trade Chase Claypool, type CC. If you want them to trade Diontae Johnson, type DJ. This will be the pinned comment on today's video. So if there's an ad break, it's the perfect time to go in the comments and put your answer to this question. All right, now, we are going to do some buying. We've done some selling here. We've sold some wide receivers here in Claypool and Johnson. Now we're going to go into someone that I think is a potential buying option for the Steelers here, and it's Bryce Hall, the corner from the New York Jets. He was drafted a couple of years ago. He's had some, he's been pretty darn good through the first couple of years of his career, but this year hasn't played much at all. He's the third cornerback on that Jets team, and the Jets have two really good corners right now in DJ Reed and Sauce Gardner. So Bryce Hall as an outside cornerback just hasn't gotten a ton of reps, but he played pretty darn well his first two seasons of the year. I liked him coming out of college. He's a big, long, rangy cornerback. You can see he's 6'1". He's a pretty darn big guy. He's a good tackler. I like the way that he plays. I like his game, and I think that he could potentially fit in with the Steelers. And I am going to add him to my list of favorite cornerback targets for the Steelers. We've talked about my targets here in the past. I really like William Jackson III. If I could pick one guy for the Steelers to pick up this trade season, I would pick William Jackson III. I think he's a fantastic fit for the Steelers. But if you can't go get William Jackson III, I would get Sidney Jones from the Seattle Seahawks, who can play really any scheme, but he's really a great man corner, which is something that Mike Tomlin really likes. And then Bryce Hall is the third guy that I would spend like a 6th or 7th round pick to go get. He's not fantastic. He's not going to change life in Pittsburgh. He's not going to completely just turn our fortunes around on a dime, but he's somebody that could be a contributor for this team in the long run and potentially be a long-term starter. All right, fellas, we are going to get into some shout-outs today. Thank you guys for following me on Twitter. I'm going to butcher this, but DS Balthazar? Thank you so much, man. However you say your name, love it, dude. Jay Breeze Too Smooth, love that name, dude. That's a sick name. And then at Kale Klepp, thank you so much. And then another Klepp. I think this is a father-son duo here. Klepp41. I'm not going to say all those numbers. Thank you guys so much for the follow on Twitter. And if you want a shout out on the next video of Steelers Talk, follow me on Twitter at Jack_Sperry. Now, finally, guys, I need to address this. I love Tom. He filled in for me when I was sick earlier this week, but he brought up a scenario of trading TJ Watt for a king's ransom. He brought up this scenario, and although he did disagree with it, he did spark some controversy in the comments, and I've been seeing a couple of you guys saying that this is a good idea. So let's break this down a little bit. This is what I think we could get for TJ Watt if we decided to trade him. We could probably get 2 first-round picks, 2 day 2 picks, so either second or third rounders, and then probably 1 defensive starter. So this is probably what the price would be someone would be willing to pay for TJ Watt right now. A defensive player of the year, edge rusher, fantastic talent. But at the end of the day, guys, I think this is the worst idea you can possibly think of. Trading these guys, trading great players, trading elite talents. There are maybe 5 TJ Watts on the planet right now. Maybe there's just 3. Maybe there's just 1. He is one of the best players in the National Football League. Good teams don't trade their great players. Plain and simply, they never do it. And, I don't care how many draft picks you can get for him. I don't care if someone offered us 4 first-round draft picks. At the end of the day, guys, he is an elite talent that we know that we have on the roster. He is in his prime. He's 28 years old. He does so much for your team. He opens up one-on-one opportunities for the other guys on your defensive line. He breaks up passes with that swat. He does so much for your football team, and we've seen what this Steelers defense looks like without him on the field. And now we're just going to trade him away and never have him back on the team again? I think this is the worst idea. And then even if you have those draft picks, which are exciting, draft picks are great. They're fun. There's nothing more exciting than having multiple draft picks in the first round. But at the end of the day, they are lottery tickets. You don't know how those players are going to end up. And at the end of the day, what are the chances that any of those players that we pick going to be as good as TJ Watt? Let's look at his stats over the last couple of years. Last year, 22.5 sacks and a Defensive Player of the Year award. And then he has been a consistent mainstay in that conversation for Defensive Player of the Year for the 3 years prior to that as well. 2020, 2019, 2018. Consistent elite play. And he's only 28 years old. So I would say he has at least 5 to 6 good years left of high-end production left in him, especially with the physical freaks of nature that his family is. This guy could actually be one of the best players in football for still a very long time. And I think if we're going to make this a quick rebuild, if we rebuild at all, but if we are going to end up rebuilding, this guy has to be a key part of our success moving forward. And at the end of the day, guys, my final point on this is that good organizations, well-run organizations, championship organizations, they don't trade their star players. Plain and simply. They once they get their star players in the fold, they keep them, they take care of them. And guys, TJ Watt loves it here in Pittsburgh. He loves being a Steeler. And, that's very, very important when you're rebuilding as an NFL franchise. You need your star players to be bought into the franchise. You need them to be bought into everything that you're doing. Having a player at the caliber of TJ Watt being willing to be patient with this franchise through a rebuild is incredibly valuable. And just the thought, just even bringing up the conversation about trading TJ Watt, I think, is disrespectful to everything that TJ Watt brings to this franchise. All right, guys, that's going to be it for the trade rumors today. But we're doing a new segment here on Steelers Talk where we're going to be putting out a poll question each week, and then every Friday we are going to be breaking that question down. So this week, the question is, should the Steelers consider tanking the season for a better draft selection in the 2023 NFL Draft? We have 3 options. Yes, it's the best long-term strategy. No, tanking doesn't work in the NFL. And then finally, no, the playoffs are still in play. So answer that question, and then also go in the comments and give your reasoning why you gave that answer. And if it has enough likes, we're going to take the top 5 or top 3 or whatever the number is. We're going to take the top rated comments and we're going to put them on the show and we're going to break them down right here on an episode of Steelers Talk. It's going to be a new segment. We're going to try it out. I think this is a great way for you guys to have your voices heard here on the show, and I'm very excited to see where this new segment goes. All right, guys, that's going to do it for today's show. Thank you so much, Steeler Nation. You guys are the best. And until next time, peace.